Overwatch Pacific Championship Week 8. I'm AVRL. This is Pixie as we're about to get into match number 4 with Blank versus DeToNator.GOLD, the final one of the day.
Yeah.
And it's been an interesting day already.
We've had an upset.
We've had a couple of expected results, and I don't know, upset or expected result coming up next?
I honestly am feeling expected result, and I'm
feeling it too.
And I suppose the question hanging over this really isn't, are Blank going to 3-0, it's are they going to look like they've maybe fixed some of the mistakes that have plagued them. And they feel that they, after their most recent game against Fireball, finally figured out what was going wrong, and they did also win that series, so now this will be the test as to whether they've really fixed those problems.
Yep, Blank maybe turning over a page, a new chapter for the team. A blank page.
Yeah, it's a blank page that they're going to fill out now.
I like that, I like that. Alright, DeToNator.GOLD as well. This is a team that I feel has made decent improvements. Certainly they've now 3-0'd Sun Sister twice in a row. This is also a team that has taken a map off of AHQ, but hey, Uncle Attitude took a full match off of AHQ now, so I don't know what's going on there, but DeToNator, credit where credit is due. This is a team that is looking better and better.
Yeah, and I think that's the really important thing there actually is, you know, standings or no, whether they are really getting these big wins and all that, look, they are still making improvements. Like, they're a team that constantly goes away, figures out what's wrong, and just makes these little improvements here and there. They were already kind of behind the 8 ball a bit at the start, so they've at least improved in line with the pace of these other teams, whereas there are teams in this tournament that really haven't.
We're going to get a couple words from Serenity and Delave.
大家好，我们今天会带给大家一个这场比赛，然后也顺便说一句日文皆さん頑張りましょう。
Alright, we're going to have a really good game today, and also a message specifically for Delave and now his response.
皆さんご存知の通り、本当に BLK は本当に強くて素晴らしいチームですが、練習でやってきたことを、今日は、デトネーター一度プレイするだけです。よろしくお願いします。頑張りましょう。
好，谢谢。那我来翻译一下哦，大概意思是大家都知道 Blank 是很强的队伍，然后我们会发挥平常的实力，打好每一场比赛。好，我还是想问，刚刚那一句是
大家一起尽力。
哦，大家一起尽力比赛。好的，那我就祝双
you know,
方好运喽
both teams can
好的，那接下来就交给我们
bring
的
a really
分析
good
主
match
持人
tonight. So let's hope that's actually going to be the case. And you know, for Blank, like we've already said quite a decent amount about Blank tonight.
Yeah.
It is trying to find out what this new Blank page of their chapter of whatever the Blank book is actually looks like. And for DeToNator, well, I mean, I don't know. DeToNator's still got some way to go, and this is going to be an interesting game for them to sort of test out as well.
And that's the thing, it's probably going to be one of the harder games for them to test out what improvements they have made. I mean, any game against these top 3, I would say top 4 actually, we need DeToNator. They're hard arenas to really show any improvement in. In spite of that, they have showed improvement in some of those previous matches. You mentioned the AHQ series, because it wasn't just the one map they took off them, right? The other games in that series were a lot tighter than I think any of us were expecting, and they have had some solid-ish looking performances against Fireball and Hong Kong Attitude. Certainly, the improvements have shown. They've still been losing. That is the hard thing to swallow about this all, but the improvements have shown.
And DeToNator sitting at the bottom of the table, 3 and 17, not right at the bottom, but very close. Blank third from the top as well, 14 and 4. Let's take a look at the lineups now. Blank Esports, you know them pretty well. AVRL, Trill, RQT, Gumba, Edip, and Kiki. Dream team from Australia.
From Australia, indeed. They had a very long undefeated streak before this tournament, but here is DeToNator now. Delave, Anakin, Samurai D, Seihata, Yoshiharu, and Dotolov. And this is a team in general that, like I said, has shown a lot of improvement. They've gone from being this, you know, protect the Anakin, you know, he'll just carry us kind of team, to really hitting their stride with flexibility and now actually playing a much more standard game. They're not all about their one carry. They are all looking good.
Yeah, and we haven't seen Blank in a while once more, so here we go. Members now getting a closer look at what the
beard is growing.
Exactly, slowly.
The gun
and
beard.
interesting enough, I think while Gumba's beard is growing, Trill has had a haircut recently. So
yeah, so they're just kind of swapped.
Get a bit of a close up with that as
well. I do like the gun beard, but yeah,
gun beard
is
not bad.
I think I've said a haircut as well. That does look different. Looks a little bit closer on the sides.
He's trying to match Zaya, just minus the pink part of the hair.
Yeah. I'd like to see him really commit to that actually.
Yeah, don't go halfway.
IQT kind of reminds me of the villain from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
I can't even remember that. There, here we go.
Gideon Graves.
A new and improved Trill.
This is the Blank page himself.
That's going to be interesting because I'd like to see what Blank are going to run. Are they going to stick to a 2-2-2? Are they going to go back to triple DPS? What are they going to actually bring out? And Kiki, the tank player, on the end. Luscious Locks over there as well. And that's kind of where I'm sitting with Blank is...
They've got quite good haircuts, yeah.
Well, at least one of them got a haircut.
But you're quite right. I mean, Blank have been one of the paragons of flexibility so far throughout this tournament and have often been the gold standard for that. But now it is less of a factor. I mean, other teams don't have to be equally as flexible. They just have to be better at running the things they're confident on. And actually, that's the one place Blank do seem to have started faltering lately.
Sayate here is an important player because this is now sort of where the foundation of DeToNator's 2-2-2 really sits. You have Anakin on the sort of flexible DPS roles. He can play the Tracer, he can play the Genji, and then sit Sayate on the Soldier. Sayate, unfortunately, on the Tracer hasn't really been matching up and certainly won't against I Eat You Up. His best chance will be on Soldier tonight, and if the team can really sort of tap into the raw DPS damage output of these two players specifically, this is where they're going to get the most of the output.
Love Dodolov's hair. Just want to throw that out there, man. It's
really sets him apart.
So vibrant. Looks like he'd be a great guy to hang out with.
Just because of vibrant.
Yeah, just because of the hair, man. Like, if I saw that hair in the street, I'd walk up like, hey, you look like a cool guy, let's hang out. They'd probably be like, who are you? What are you doing in my house?
In Japanese.
But, yeah, in Japanese. I would be so inspired by his locks, I would spontaneously learn his native language so that I could better communicate with him so I can hang out. That's how that would happen.
And once again, 5 maps to go. Blank are the home team. They get maps pick 1, 3, and 5. Their first one, they're going to open up with Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, no nonsense here. They want to go for the stock standard. Nothing crazy. No Ilios, no Nepal. They just want to take it to Lijiang Tower. Yeah, it's not too crazy, but Lijiang Tower is certainly more standard than Nepal.
Absolutely more standard, and this is again looking at Blank on the standard maps. Standard being whatever the most popular maps so far in the tournament are, which is one of them is Lijiang Tower. You get a good sense of where Blank are trajectory-wise of what they want to do, what they're comfortable running, what they look good on.
Yeah. And
in a very neutral environment.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. I think this pick is for that sheer neutrality. I mean, there's no reason to go anywhere else, so why bother? You don't need to, have some stunning and weird performance on Ilios. You don't need anything like that, right? You just need to win and show that you've shored up a lot of your mistakes from the past. It doesn't really matter too much where you do that, but you might as well go to the most neutral territory to do it.
Still, home ground for Blank must feel pretty good for them, and DeToNator.GOLD, it's kind of similar to where Hong Kong Attitude, where you're facing one of the best teams in the competition, and you are the away team, so it's kind of a compound effect. It's hard stacked on top of more hard, so
yeah,
not an easy time.
It's a hard teams. Sandwich. It's very... Okay, I'm sorry. If one thing is stacked on top of one,
in a hard place.
If one thing is stacked on top of one other thing, that's not really a sandwich. They'd be because there needs to be something in the middle. That's the point of a sandwich. Like,
it's true.
That's the thing. It's yeah. Like, just have a sandwich that is 2 pieces of bread. You know, there is such a thing as a toast sandwich. You have a piece of toast between 2 pieces of bread. I'm not joking. I think that's something like.
I wish you were.
I think that's that's like Great Depression era or something like that. Like you look at some of the like cooking from there and like, man, they had nothing. They had nothing to go with. They're like, all right, well, dinner is biscuit cake, but gravy pie. It's no meat in it. It's just gravy. There's actually no pastry either. It's just gravy. Dinner is gravy.
Oh, Blank look pretty hungry for a win, and they're gonna need it because
nice
they
segue.
need to keep away from Machi. We've said previously, Machi they need 4 wins where Blank do not get 4 wins. So Blank can't afford. They have to beat everybody. They have to beat every. They can't lose. They can't lose 4. If Blank lose 4 matches between now and the end of round robin 4. That is where Machi's window opens.
And that means, almost especially against teams like DeToNator, especially against teams where you might say they are expected and or favored to win, those are the worst ones to drop matches to because it makes it easier for Machi to catch you. I mean, that's the thing Blank have to be cognizant of, right? It's almost not just about staying in the top 3 and, feeling like they are going to come strong into playoffs. It is keeping that distance that they have to Machi because Machi have closed that distance, I think, more than Blank ever expected after their initial results in this tournament. So, with a team like that hot on your heels, man, you've got to feel the crunch.
You do, and it's unlikely, but the possibility is there. As long as the possibility is there that Munchie can close the gap, you have to consider that. You have to respect it, and you have to always have it in the back of your mind as the sort of the threat. That's the threat you have to always consider.
And that's the thing. The back of your mind is exactly right, because it's going to be a present thought no matter who you're playing against. That's not a thought that's going to occur to you just when you're playing matchy. It's something that exists every single time you hit the stadium.
And coming fourth or coming anything outside of top 3 for Australia's blank would be, I would say, fairly devastating as the team coming into the entire OPC right from day one as the favourites. I mean, Flash Wolves were probably Taiwan's favourites, but overall, even Flash Wolves from day one said, look, blank are the favourites, it's not us.
Yeah, and then that first round robin, I mean, we bring it up a lot, but going undefeated, it's no mean feat. And I suppose it's just evidence, you know, that the respect other teams gave them was well deserved from the start, even if more recent results have been troublesome. So that's the thing, right? We're still waiting to see Blank's return to form. This is the first time they feel confident that they are going to have that return to form. So we kind of have to trust them, and this is going to be where we really start to find it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Blank, been waiting to see them for so long. They've been missing in action, it feels like, and this is it now. Blank back.
Welcome back.
Back in the OPC. Here we go.
It kind of does feel like, you know, how long has it been since we saw this team?
A while. It feels like so long.
And I mean, on top of that, how long has it been since we saw what we would call the quote-unquote real blank? You know, the blank that comes out looking dominant, the blank that absolutely destroys all the other teams, in fact. Already off to a decent start. Kiki feeling a bit of the pressure, actually gets a great pick out, but trading one back onto Anakin, and blank other one set up on the point. There's the pressure put on. They pick up the 2 DPS, and they sort it all out.
Blank in fairly good control here. Did they have to decide, are they going to bleed more members onto this, or are they going to just get out of here? They actually managed to get the cap, which is a little bit surprising to me.
That is very surprising, and I'm actually getting a pick on the back end of this. They're actually, they kind of lost a bit of their way there. I think they committed a little bit too awkwardly to try and close out the last few kills. Yeah, they absolutely are winning this. I feel like Blank scattered themselves a touch after they got the good opening kills. I think they didn't actually expect DeToNator to contest it as hard as they did.
And I didn't expect DeToNator to contest that either, because they shouldn't have. By all means, they should have backed off, but they had this kind of confidence that Honko Attitude did not have against Flash Wolves, and it has paid off for DeToNator. They do get the early advantage, they do get the kills, they have control. This is not the best start for Blank, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, maybe it's just down to the pure element of surprise. This was actually the first team they played.
I'm surprised.
On day one. I'm surprised. Well, it's the first team they played on day one, actually, and they didn't have the smoothest ride, even though they did come out top. That is a very early ultimate now, out of Dark Love, and they trade the kills through to get Gunba. Anakin does get pressured out of this one, but Blank, they just don't seem to be topping off all their members at the right times here. Now Trill still getting pressured out on the backside of this, finally able to regroup with RQT. They just seem to be getting too low and not topping off their health where the other teams are.
We're already past 50%, so it's not a good period. It's not a good area for Blank to sort of be sitting at. This is not a comfortable position. They should be able to come in here looking for a couple of kills. I expect Anakin to bring out the Dragon Blade as all possible. Already missed the mark.
Yeah, and they need to commit to this one very, very efficiently, I feel. And that's a good way to start, getting Yoshiharu out of this. Now they're fighting through that Dragon Blade and the Sound Barrier, committing their own one now. This is looking a little bit better for them, looking more coordinated, a return to form. They actually forced the ultimate out of Samurai D. He's really trying to run down the clock to push it to 90%, but they don't let it get quite that far, it seems. Are going to get themselves a cap that actually might just barely get to 90, but in any case, the cap happens. That's what matters, and Blank are looking in control of this.
Still stalling, which means we might just hit 99%. And that's got to be something DeToNator have a lot to work with. In fact, 96% is better than 99% in terms of how the overtime system kind of works. So Blank is fairly far behind. You did not consider at all that Blank would be at this kind of deficit against DeToNator in the opening game.
Yeah, but they are now in control of the point. They are also actually entrenched. DeToNator, they're not going to have an easy time attacking back onto this one.
Not a lot of tools to use either, and the good news is DeToNator used everything. They threw everything at the wall.
That's great play there. Getting another one on top of it. And this is more like what we expect out of Blank. They read DeToNator's positioning, they contested the ground properly. They didn't misfire, they didn't miscommit, and that's why the picks came through. It's not just because they're better at aiming or anything like that, it's because they're better at positioning and contesting the ground. Now even more dug in than before.
Yep. More dug in, better ultimates, better area control. Trill probably going to get the drop on the few members here as well. DeToNator, they need to find an opening with something hard to this pulse bomb. If they can get something with this, that'll be the opening, but it'll be very difficult. They do actually lose Anakin.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that is, yeah, and that's a great sticky by EU. Up here it is again, like Blank going right aggressive on this one to contest the ground. DeToNator are in complete disarray. They're miles away from the point anyway. Now Blank can just kind of back up safely. They only use one ult, actually, sorry, they used two because they had the pulse bomb as well, but they drew, actually, they didn't draw any of them out of DeToNator, excuse me. I thought they had drawn out a sound barrier in that one, but in any case, they're looking good. They're looking in control.
DeToNator don't have a lot of time here, so they actually, despite the fact that they're at 95, 96, they have to be the ones contesting the point fairly soon. Bring the point bike to the actual point itself.
Yeah.
It's exactly what they've done.
They're forced onto it, and Blank actually scattered their position because of a good self-destruct from Pixie. Trill, unfortunately, going down, but this is now going to be ATAR's opportunity to open up. Yeah, Anakin down because Gunva was able to keep ATAR safe with that Transcendence. The sound barrier for both teams, and DeToNator's one will run out first. Now ATAR is well poised to attack back onto this one. Good pick by Yoshiharu, actually gets Kiki's mech as well. But Blank, they're still looking like they kind of want to fight this one out, actually. They can put off Saitade, then maybe they can, but they're not quite getting the close out. And Samurai D is a big health bar on that point.
This is bad.
This is very bad. This is going to be trickles in now for Blank. Someone needs to get on this one to contest. Oh, dear.
That is why 96 is better than 99, because when you flip it over, you don't go into overtime. You actually have, as soon as it hits 100 and no one's standing there, well, you get the cap. And DeToNator, they got to feel good about that. That's the gold standard.
That they do. That they absolutely do. And that last fight was actually going quite well for Blank. I think the only unfortunate thing is that was the one fight there once they had got ownership of the point where they didn't quite control the ground, they didn't quite play on their terms, and they did give DeToNator a window. And that's the thing, that's why we say DeToNator have been improving, because now they do take those windows where in the past they kind of struggled to catch them. So Blank giving that one up and DeToNator capitalizing on it isn't too unexpected, but it is still very unfortunate.
What I really respect out of DeToNator is in their opening fight again, they didn't want to give it up too early. They saw the opening where they could take it back, and they absolutely did do that. If they can have more plays like that, this is where they have the potential to beat Blank.
This, however, is already looking
Scary
nicer. Yeah. This is already, oh, never mind. Dodlov was able to get ATAR with a headshot. That is so disastrous. You've got to be aware of those flanks when you're playing Soldier on Control Center. I mean, we saw Dizzy getting caught out a lot by that earlier tonight as well. You've got to respect it. Gunva finally starting to get an answer back as they pick out Anakin, so they kind of keep themselves safe while they were lacking ATAR, and this is the strike back. Yeah, they still actually had the ground even though they lost ATAR, and DeToNator didn't quite respect that. Blank executed very nicely there, and this is a well-deserved cap.
And this is the problem for DeToNator, is they get the opening kill onto ATAR, they didn't convert it into anything else. They need a little bit more after that. It's not good enough just to get the one kill. You have to translate into further kills and then a cap itself. They didn't get the cap either. Blank opened this one up.
Yeah, and like I said, Blank didn't cede the ground. They knew that they could just not lose anyone else and hold the ground that they gained for themselves. So that was very well measured by them to understand their limits. Now Sohade trying to pressure on the side, but kind of struggling for it. Anakin as well, not quite executing on this dive. They're really trying to get onto these healers. Do finally catch Gunva, which actually wasn't quite there, but while that's all been happening, Blank are really getting the hurt onto the rest of DeToNator, taking Samurai D out of the picture despite the ultimate. Sound barrier is here though for both teams, and I feel like Blank may need to commit there soon and try and save Kiki in this mech. There it goes, delayed, gets pushed way off to the side. He's gonna go over the edge for that one, and Blank still looking in control of this, even if only slightly.
This is a pretty tough matchup so far.
They're drawing a lot out of
Blank
DeToNator.
do come out ahead of this because they have controlled the point. Every single ultimate DeToNator use, if they don't win out of this, Blank get further progress on that percentage ticker, and this is all going in favor of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, DeToNator are giving them a run for their money, but Blank aren't exactly faltering, where I feel a lot of teams would. So really credit to them for just kind of keeping their cool.
And it's, you know, it's in Blank's favor for them to be able to keep this fight going as long as possible. Getting that massive advantage up in progress is so valuable for them. And DeToNator, even though they had a huge opening on night market, I mean, Blank still really took it back into overtime. Now that Blank have a super big lead against DeToNator, how are DeToNator going to come back?
This is absolutely nuts. Trill, if he can get his health topped off a little bit here with this flank on the side, there it comes through now. They start off with the D.Va ult to kind of force DeToNator to attack this point in a weird way. They do finally get some toes on it, but Amiken's been spotted out. Trill is right on it to answer it. EDUp is busy dealing with the backliners, and they can't even get themselves in at all. This is the blank we expect. Let's say the first one was just a little shaky. That was all blank, top to bottom.
Yeah, you might have tripped up on your own 2 left feet for a little bit on the first one, maybe a little bit of a hiccup as well. 100-0, full control on Control Center. That is the blank we remember. That is the blank we expected to turn up today. And well, a couple more of those out from blank, and this should be a bit of a sweep.
And it wasn't crazy close. I mean, one of those fights did feel like it came down very close, but like I said, blank actually kept their cool. And we're at a couple of moments at a disadvantage in that fight and kind of swung back in the right ways, the right times, looked very good, and beyond that, it's not like every fight looked like that. That was the only time DeToNator really contested them, because from that point on, blank had DeToNator's number. They did not give them room to breathe.
And blank are going to stick to the same formula, a winning formula by the looks of it. If anything has to go, if Control Center is anything to go by, DeToNator are going to be the ones changing things up for Gardens.
They do have to react to Amiken on the Sparrow, but they're already doing a good job of it. The only one they've lost is RQT, and that's honestly not the end of the world, because they've taken out Saihadi. That is much more significant, and now they're able to kind of get themselves into cover. Amiken is getting pressured up in the skies of all things. That is really unfortunate. Trill also keeping his life, and blank have the positional advantage over this point. That's what really counts.
Cap's opened up as well. Blank could probably try and contest this cap line up to get the cap over. A good start again for them would really pay dividends later on.
And look at how long EDUp went uncontested for. Look, he went down, but it actually doesn't matter in this situation because he was too busy pressuring Saihadi and delayed. That was why blank were able to get the cap, even though all 6 members of both teams were alive. There's going to be the ultimate out. Does get Gunbo, but that's not enough. ATAR immediately answers back.
ATAR answers back in a big way. Rez as well, bringing DeToNators back in. TagVisor should be cleaning this one up though.
It doesn't actually do much. Kiki seems to get more done. They do pick out Samurai D, but not even Zon. For some reason I'm thinking Zon is fair. In any case, Amiken threw everything he could at ATAR to first try and displace him and then try and kill him. Just didn't work at all. ATAR was too well positioned and too aware of Amiken.
Trill very sneaky, wanted to clean up that last kill there. Amiken just managed to get a health pack before Trill could finish that one. Number blank sitting in a really good position. Progress advantage in their favor again. Ultimate advantage in their favor. Everything so far working out for them, and DeToNator need to find an opening. They're going to switch Amiken off the Ferret.
Yeah, either that or he's just going for a walk and wants some exercise, but it does seem to be the swap, yeah. Over onto this Genji. And I do absolutely prefer this. This was what was working a little bit better on Control Center, even though they did lose it. They at least had the numbers and the right kind of heroes, honestly, pull off dive.
Yeah, absolutely. They need, this kind of shuts down ATAR as well. Exactly. Putting a lot of pressure on him with both Saihadi and Amiken on very mobile DPSs is probably the ticket for DeToNator to get back onto blank, but they have to bleed out a couple of ultimates if they want to make their way in.
Look at this, they're just kind of sat on the point, not getting anything done. Saihadi's getting pressured off on the side by EDUp, and blank are just holding on to their ultimates. They're not going to commit anything until they have to, because this is just time on the clock for them. Trill is going to be the first one to open it up, and now they're going to try and force them out of DeToNator. Pulse Bomb comes out, Dodlov, if he goes down before this Transcendence, that would be huge. They do get the pick up on Trill, double sound barriers out.
Where's
now.
The Transcendence?
They need the Transcendence. It should have actually come out from Gunba, unfortunately does not. Dodlov does commit his though. Actually, I don't disagree with them holding on to a couple. EDUp is still kind of locking down this point, though. It's just sort of Dodlov around here. They can get a good pulse bomb to keep this one secured. Hold on.
Well, it does look like blank are going to allow the cap to go over, and I can see where this is going because they wanted to hold the ultimate for this push. They can get the counter push. They're not a team where they have to hold on to that point. They don't want to throw everything away and then potentially still lose it. It's a more calculated play from blank to actually give that one up and come back later on.
And I think
with
the key one
advantage.
The Transcendence there was the most important. Dodlov now not having that, while Gunba does, is probably going to be all the difference in this fight, provided nothing else goes horribly awry.
I mean, it's going to be used specifically to counter out.
That's one good way to do it. They do actually answer back. They picked out Dodlov, so that is going to be the Transcendence. They want to commit to this one. Amiken still has not used his Dragon Blade, and now there isn't actually the Transcendence to counter it out. They have converted a couple of other kills. Now they're going to have to open up with the Dragon Blade to try and make something happen. Looking to get Gunba. They do finally get that, but he's being forced out anyway. Amiken can't get any more work done. He will retreat and get heals, but the team is too scattered now. Blank are actually entrenched on the point, even though it felt like it was a little bit haywire. they are there in enough numbers to lock it down.
Yeah, the cap still hasn't gone over yet, so this is still progress available for DeToNator. As soon as Blank flip it over, it will be immediate overtime in DeToNator. They got to be feeling the pressure now because they got to get the desperation trickle to keep this one going.
The thing is, because they tried to bleed the clock, they already trickled in, so now their only way they can commit to overtime is with another trickle, and that is not a winning situation. Good pulse bomb out to trying to cut it off the neck. To catch Godlov in it too, that is devastating for DeToNator. They do not have the numbers to do this. Anakin goes straight down. Blank, good patient play to seed it when they did. Looked a little dodgy for a moment there, but they still committed well. They only gave up the point once in that, and again, much like Night Market, Blank from start to finish.
Blank from start to finish. Ticker should be finally just ticking right down 2-1. This could have been a 3-0, and Blank will have to re-look at what happened on the original control center. We're probably going to end up revisiting that as we're kind of resetting the maps onto Lijiang a little bit. But I got to say for Anakin, maybe should have pulled the trigger on the Dragon Blade at the end there a little bit sooner. I know he was waiting for the Transcendence out of Gumba, but because he waited for the Transcendence, 2 players on the DeToNator side already went down. It was a 4v6. And look, Anakin didn't get enough done on the Dragon Blade anyway, so they just couldn't bring it back.
I mean, Blank really, they made hay while the sun was up with that Transcendence running and converted those 2 kills when they knew Anakin couldn't commit his Dragon Blade. They kept track of the ultimates, and that's part of why they are looking so clean when they're winning these fights.
Yep, clean and squeaky. Anakin going to stick on to the Genji. I do agree he's had better results in that so far against what Blank are running. And Blank are not going to change anything. This is the formula. Like I said, this is how Blank are going to win.
And they've actually opted to take AVRL off the Genji themselves, and maybe that was all the changes they need to be making here because, right as I say, they are starting to put the pressure back on though. Unfortunately, using Gunba, Anakin, he can't be allowed free reign here, so never mind, actually, Blank is going to have to back off this one, Even though it looked like they were going to get some good return kills, all they ended up getting was Yoshiharu's mech, and they have to really get out here before they get completely routed.
Kiki might lose his mech, that'll be pretty devastating. Now he's going to have to take a dive off the side. I would have recommended him taking a dive off the side anyway, but this is just going to stagger Blank's retake, which is not going to kind of bode well.
He's not going to take a dive. He swaps off and swaps back on. He didn't have much ultimate charge, but it was still 20%. And that does make it a little bit of a longer stretch until they can come in with an ultimate advantage.
He obviously values the respawn time. Yeah, he values the time a little bit more than the ult charge at this stage, which is, it's kind of respectable.
I can see it.
Blank do need to make haste.
Here goes Anakin onto the back line. Already finds AVRL, now finds Gunba. Good, no ultimates committed out of Blank. They just absorb that one, take it on the chin, even get some answers back so that they can charge up some of their own ultimates. And now they'll look to come in next fight. A little bit better for Wear, but it really sucks to have to take lost fights on the chin like that.
Yeah, well played by DeToNator. One ultimate and full team wipe out of Blank. Blank didn't have any ultimates to commit anyway, so that's just, they kind of just have to take it on the chin like you said. Gonna have to recommit. 50% should go in the way of DeToNator before Blank even make the opening here. The only thing they can use is a pulse one. It's got to be a good one.
And it's not going to be one. Anakin is all over. Can they just answer Anakin? Like, can someone just kill Anakin at the start of fights?
At least AVRL didn't die first.
Yeah, that needs to be their target selection here, Blank. And I feel like that's the one thing they are still neglecting here, is shutting down the person who is having the most impact.
Easier said than done, though. Genji is kind of difficult to hard engage. You need Trill to specifically engage him, and Trill has other targets that are easier. That pulse bomb, unfortunately, from Saihat, they're not going to connect.
Edup's neither. Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. They are going to commit to this one as they pull out Dodalov. There we go. This is looking a little bit stronger for them. They did had to commit the sound barrier for it, but yeah, Anakin answered, taken down off the top, and that was good target selection out of Trill. There we go. It took them a little bit longer than I think they could feel comfortable with, but they have actually started answering that.
And it's still a fantastic start out from DeToNator. I mean, what was that? 3-4 fights, 87%. You'll take it. I mean, Blank are good when they're ahead. They don't struggle that much when they're behind, but they're now at risk of losing. The last time DeToNator were this far ahead was on Control Center. DeToNator eventually took that one out. So when Blank don't get a massive lead up, it does get harder for them.
That is a good point, but they are once again very entrenched now here on Night Market with the ultimates up and set up on the point. AVRL. DeToNator's target selection is just far better than Blank's right now. I'm going to be completely honest. If AVRL is dying so often at the top of these fights, that is because DeToNator are playing it well. Good sound barrier out to save Yoshiharu. Kiki, luckily picking up 2 with the self-destruct, is actually going to save the fight because that was going horridly for Blank.
Yeah, even Anakin decided to use Dragon Blade in the middle of all of that. Does get himself a kill, but not enough to save the cap over. It was so
nearly had
close
it,
to
yeah.
flipping over. That would have definitely bought DeToNator a lot of time. So now Blank, a little bit of breathing space. They do get to get themselves back up here. Kiki, does he have to take a dive off the cliff again?
I don't think so. He should just be able to get it up in time. Might not be super comfortable, but because they do have to come through that choke point where he's chucking shots through, he will be able to get that mech charge back up.
Oh, if DeToNator can shut down A-Tower again, specifically because they need A-Tower's tech visor, that's going to be a big deal.
Trill needs to stop going in on his own. He really needs backup, but he can't do it when Kiki doesn't have the mech. They do answer back though by picking Anakin, so Trill, this time the aggressive play does pay off, and this is a repeat now of what we saw last time on Night Market. Once Blank were in control, they didn't cede that control.
Yep, they absolutely have not, and DeToNator are not finding anything out of these ultimates. They're spending them for not a lot of gain. Blank still held on to that tech visor, which means for the game-winning defense here, 95% DeToNator. They're already losing members. That is probably the nail of the coffin.
Sayhade will step on the point to at least force the contest, force the overtime, but they'd already lost. They had already lost at that point, and now Blank are just going to come on to clean it up. They will pick it up 3-1. I do feel like they can sweat a little bit after that one, but they got it over the line, and they are actually looking better.
They will eventually get it over the line.
Eventually, yeah.
Any moment.
There it goes, over the line. And Gunber also goes over the edge. Why not? Points for style.
Someone's going to take a dive at the end of the day.
Yeah, he's just the cascading transcendence. But yeah, like, I wouldn't say that was super comfortable. It wasn't this absolutely dominant shutout, but I mean, DeToNator have improved from the start of this tournament as well, so let's just appreciate that. I mean, this is a harder team than when they would have first faced them. Blank can't expect to be 100-0 dominant against every team. It's just unrealistic, right? So they do actually look like they've fixed a good number of their mistakes. I don't know if they've fixed all of them, but I don't know if we'll find that out in this particular series.
It's good that for DeToNator's confidence and good for DeToNator's morale that they took one of the Lijiang maps, because it kind of says to them, look, we have the possibility of making Blank believe here. We have the possibility of opening up a weakness and capitalizing on that. It's something that they did do, and I still want to compliment their confidence going into this, because they know they're not favored. Blank know they're favored as well. Blank are definitely feeling good about it, but Blank are still giving a lot of respect to DeToNator. And DeToNator, on the other hand, well, look, while they respect Blank, they do and are able to take advantage when they need to.
That they absolutely are, and there was that one on the very first run of, want to say Night Market? It was on the first time they hit up Night Market, actually, where Blank committed to a fight. They had the positional advantage, they had the point, and it did actually look like they didn't expect DeToNator to commit, and DeToNator did. I wouldn't quite call that Blank giving them a window. There were times where Blank did give them a window. I would say that was Blank being caught a little bit by surprise, and that's actually not too big a deal, because most other teams, in fact pretty much every other team, wouldn't actually go for that play because it is quite dangerous and quite risky. They'd do something safer. So I can't fault Blank particularly for that one, but there were still a few times where they did give DeToNator a window.
And when they do, like, I'm glad DeToNator are recognizing that, and I'm glad DeToNator are able to capitalize, because many other teams wouldn't have the confidence to do that. And we saw was a big fall down of Hong Kong Attitude against Flash Wolves, because Hong Kong Attitude had to play super safe, had to play super respectful of Flash Wolves, and so much so that I feel like the windows opened and closed extremely quickly for Hong Kong Attitude. It was a huge shutout.
Yeah, and by comparison, I think the windows did close quickly, not as quickly as they did against Flash Wolves, but yeah, DeToNator capitalizing, and that really was all the difference. But Blank still actually picked up the win, and I don't know that we can really draw much from that loss on Control Center. It was Control Center that lost.
Yeah, it was. It was the opening play. It was the opening map, and
yeah, I don't know that there's too much we can draw. No, I think it was Night Market. No, it was Night Market that they lost. It actually was, because that was where it was at 96.
No, you're right. Actually, Control Center was a 100-0.
Yeah, and really, what I feel like that was, there was this one slight misfire at the end by Blank, and actually DeToNator played far better than they ever really have before in that particular moment. Even better, I would say, than what a lot of these other even top 3 teams do. Like, I could easily see AHQ not executing as well as DeToNator did, so it was, you know, a slight and honestly quite forgivable misexecution by Blank was unfortunately what cost them that one map that they gave away. Because truth is, up until that point, they looked exceedingly dominant once the cap had gone that way. And then when they came to Night Markets the second time, they did get their cap and looked dominant all the way to the end. They did not have that same misfire. So yeah, I would say Blank have fixed a good run of their mistakes. I still don't know if it's quite all of them, but they are looking much better than last week.
Well, it won't be the full test for Blank just yet. It's a good opening against DeToNator.GOLD, but we'll have to see if they really fix their mistakes when they actually play against harder teams such as Machi, AHQ, and eventually Flash Wolves. Look, the final boss for Blank, that's the one they really got to get past. A lot of good moments, back to DeToNator.GOLD just a little bit though, shining moments for Anakin, who was really opening up the plays.
Actually on night markets.
Well, kind of everywhere, opening up the plays for DeToNator. Like, where he wasn't really doing it was on the fair, and I'm glad he switched off that, recognized it's not going pretty well. Go back on the Genji, that's what he's been playmaking on it, that's what's been working.
Yeah, and like I said, it took Blank quite a long time to actually properly answer it and shut it down. I feel like Anakin was given a lot more room to play with as well, which is to Blank's detriment. Like, that is on them more so than it is on Anakin's good play, but also props to Anakin for taking advantage of that. We see that actually with a lot of Tracer players when they are given free reign, how much they're able to get out of it. Same thing there really with Anakin on Genji. So this is a pick.
Now this is going to be DeToNator going on to Kings Row as the away team. Well, it's going to be a standard night. Lijiang straight into Kings Row and straight into Temple of Anubis.
Yeah, Hollywood is like the craziest thing we've seen so far.
I know, right? This has actually been the Oasis round robin, where Oasis has been coming up more than Lijiang.
Yeah, you're quite right. We saw it in the first round robin, a little bit kind of 50-50, and then towards the end of it, it's pretty much all Lijiang with, you know, the odd, like Ilios when Fireball had that pick. And
the odd Lijiang.
The odd Ilios. The odd Ilios when Fireball had that pick, and then sometimes we saw Nepal as well. But yeah, back to Lijiang and Oasis predominantly, and yeah, stock standard night.
So DeToNator.GOLD picking Kings Row. The first thing I have to consider and the first thing I have to ask is Sombra right out the gate for the attack. Is that going to happen? Because that's what DeToNator has been doing many a time on Kings Row attack. They just, it's kind of their pigeonholed strategy, and it has not been super effective.
No, it really
hasn't. It's not been the best.
And that's the thing. The answer to that question is probably yes, but I really want it to be no, because I want DeToNator to play something that is, frankly, more reliable, something that's more likely to go off. I mean, you're right, the Sombra really hasn't been working. They shouldn't be running it still. But the fact that they've picked this map, the fact that they have been running the Sombra, and the fact that they obviously do all of those things because they feel that it is a valid strategy that can work out for them, would suggest that they are going to pull it out again. If not, they must have something else planned, and frankly, I have no idea what that may be.
I would like to see them continue the Genji play out of Anakin. That's what they really need. Putting him on anything else here would feel somewhat lackluster. I wouldn't be confident about it. Putting Sayhante on Soldier with Anakin on Genji, I believe, is probably the winning formula for DeToNator going up against Blake. It'll give them the best chance anyway.
Yeah, seems to be that way so far. I also just want to kind of throw something out here with these two Tracers, by the way. Sayhate has been looking decent. I ate you up. Kind of had to shake off the rust for a moment. And actually, Sayhate was getting the better of him initially, at least, but I am going to come right out and say I think that has stopped happening now. And eat you up. He's certainly not, you know, being full-on crazy big playmaker, but he is looking a lot better. He's certainly not having any troublesome 1v1 losses against Sayhate anymore. Like I said, shaking off the rust.
It's crazy that we have to consider that he's even rusted in the first place, because he was and may still be very soon when we get into the really tight matches between the top teams, the best Tracer in the tournament, which I think Bacon Jack has kind of taken off him recently.
Yeah.
And if you were Eat Up, you probably want that title back.
You really would, and that's the thing. You can only get it back off Bacon Jack. You can't get it by beating other Tracers. You still have to beat those other Tracers to, you know, make it important when you beat Bacon Jack. But yeah, he's kind of got to wait out for that one. But I feel it's possible.
In fact, Eat Up being rusted in general, kind of more accurately, I would say it's just the whole of Blank that have kind of had a little bit of rust in recent times, and this is now the de-rusting moment for Blank. At least we're hoping it is. We're expecting it to be. This is the last chance Blank have to de-rust before they head into playoffs. Assuming they have a good enough run, and Machi do not have a good enough run, that Blank will definitely get to the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That is actually, like we said, still the question that hangs over their heads. But yeah, certainly Blank not looking as rough as they were the last couple of weeks. Question is whether they're truly back on form, but certainly they've made a huge step in the right direction.
Well, huge step in the right direction is DeToNator not running Sombra in attack, wasting no time, getting straight into this attack right now.
Oh, if Trill goes down first here, that's going to be so rough. It's actually looking like it might be Kiki forced out of the mech. But here comes the swing back now from Blank. So Hardy's getting given free reign around this backside. They kind of let them set this one up, but they do close out on Samurai D. Trill, unfortunately, does get taken down to the back end of that one. I don't know why. I don't know what's actually happening to this guy, right? But he's constantly ending up the first guy to go down, or at the very least getting really, really low, and it's almost like people forget to heal him or something.
Well, actually, it was Kiki that went super low to start with, but he managed to preserve
Trill
the
did, then Kiki did, and then Trill died.
Yeah, well, Samurai, yeah, exactly. Samurai D actually got traded there as well. Works out a little bit better for DeToNator based on respawn distances. Now it's going to be Saihate challenging. Backs out of the 2v1. In fact, doesn't even manage to back out of the 2v1.
Yeah, he had the complete drop on them as well, but it was a 1 versus 2. And the moment you miss that opening shot with the Helix rocket, you've lost it. And you're not going to be able to back out successfully. So kind of gave up his opportunity to really make something happen. There is Trill again going down.
Now that is an opening we want.
Yeah, the rust is well shaken off, but he's looking all shiny and chrome now. That's the triple, boys. Eat You Up is back on top.
Oh, at least for now. Let's see how far he can keep going with that. I'd like to see the distance available. Should be the full-on defense with DeToNator sent directly back to spawn. Try again.
Yeah, and this
is
time
the response from Blank.
Try again into a nano visor, by the way, and Trill will also have his ultimate available if they really need to stall, but I would find that surprising. This is already a tall order for DeToNator. Oh, careful.
Yep. Let's see what the opening is going to be out of DeToNator so far. I'm still really, I really respect that they're sticking to this. They're not going to give this up just yet. Anakin's still onto the Tracer as well. Maybe Anakin could play Genji. It's a lot of maybes and still waiting to see what the answer from DeToNator will be.
That was a really nice collapsing by Trill, actually, to kind of cut off DeToNator in the path they were looking for. AVRL is now sitting on this low ground, but DeToNator don't have angles to really contest this one, and now they're just going to have to kind of go to ground. They're the ones who need to capture the point, need I remind you. And sure, Trill's gone down, but Anakin's out of the picture. So Hardy can very much be answered up here. Now here comes the answer here, pushed off. That is so ideal, and now he's on the low ground, on the wrong side of the fight. The collapse can come in by I Eat You Up. Pulse Bomb does go wide. I don't know if that was quite necessary to commit, but look, he's having to get out of here. Even if he runs all the way away and does get back to spawn, it's not bad because he's not exactly looking to cap the point. He's just trying to get out with his life. Blank, holding this one down.
And if DeToNator are playing for survival, I mean, that's not how you got to win this. You got to be playing for the win here. Survivability is not going to be the ticket to that. 1 minute just about remains. We're just about to hit that 1 minute mark. DeToNator haven't really made that much ground. Nothing to show for all of this time they spent. Not even 1/3. Not yet.
Sleepy Trill. Taking a nap. Oh, hello. DoToNator getting picked by Eat You Up. That's going to bleed out even more time, and DeToNator probably looking at 1 good push or 2 bad ones.
One well set up push, and you're right, maybe 2 bad ones, or at least 1 bad one, and then 1 where they just managed to scrape past the line into overtime. And I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up going into overtime with DeToNator have their, I guess, final stand or final opportunity.
Yeah, almost certainly will. And actually, that blink missing to get across the high ground is really key because it gave Blank the tiny little window they needed to get their last few ultimates up. Now, Anakin really has to find a great pulse bomb, but he can't actually find the targets he's looking for. He's really looking for them, looking to get onto Gunva now, but he's not going to be able to get the sticky down, and he just has to back off. So that was a lot of time wasted. Now only 10 seconds remaining. Anakin, ooh, he misses the pulse bomb, gets completely shut out. They pick up Saihate and spent way too much time trying to get fancy rather than just committing to something. Now DeToNator are going to have to try and pull this one out in overtime, and it's already a tough ask. Blank have a great battery of ultimates up. There's going to be the visor. They committed Nanoburst here. DeToNator onto Samurai D, but he doesn't have an ult to follow it up. DoToNator gets picked off anyway. Blank, that is the shutout we expect.
Must be a feels-good moment for Blank because Blank have been shut out themselves on Cap 1 of Kings Row so many times. To finally do it against another team is, you know, it's a good turnaround from them. It is all smiles on the Blank side.
Well, it could still happen. Let's not quite forget that. It could still happen that they get shut out, but
yeah,
this is not looking like a Blank to
not
get
in
shut
this
out.
game, though.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting it in this game.
Yeah, certainly not. And that really was more of a return to form. And even, look, DeToNator actually had some interesting setups. They had some good setups. They had, more importantly, setups that Blank have fallen prey to in the past, specifically on Kings Row with those exact lineups. And the only difference was AVRL on the Soldier instead of the Genji. And they didn't collapse to them. In fact, it wasn't even this tight, hard-fought win. It looked a little bit messy, it looked a little bit shaky, but actually in terms of what they were doing and how they were executing the plays, they were in control the whole time. DeToNator did not at all catch them.
best that DeToNator got was a few trades earlier on. And it was specifically they lost Samurai D, then they got Trill back, nearly forced Kiki out and Mech, forced him out of fight at least. So you kind of denied both the Blank tanks, and that was the best offense that DeToNator had so far on all of their attack. And now that it's their turn on defense, they got a lot to work towards, because I don't know if they even got a third on their attack, which means for Blank, they just need that to win.
Yeah, they need that to win, and then they get to go into Assault with their own pick. I mean, frankly, it's looking good. And there's no qualifier to that. It's just looking good for Blank. And it feels good to be able to say that again.
After so long, I mean, when was the...
Where have you been, Blank?
Where's Blank?
Come back to me from far away.
Australia for a bit.
Yeah. Far away across the sea. Oh, Blank. Already looking good. Like we said, it's this is not a matchup where
and the formula. Back onto the formula, Gumbo and Zenyatta as well. Whether you put Gumbo and Anna or a Zenyatta, it doesn't really matter here. This is the composition. The other standard 5 plus a flex onto Gumbo is exactly what Blank are going to use to win. That's what they want to win with.
Yeah, and look at the pressure EduUp is already exerting. He's just wasting Anakin's time. Anakin isn't able to do what he wants, which is cut off the neck of Blank by taking out Gunba and RQT. And now they've managed to get ATAR up on this high ground. They've sent Trill down to contest the healers. And already Anakin are in disarray. They do finally take out Gunba, but Blank is still kind of set up here enough. Actually, they're finally getting repelled here. Trill did take a little bit too long to pick out Delay, so... yeah, that was actually well held on by DeToNator, but it did feel a little bit dicey.
Yeah, this is now the head cut off the snake of Blank, and they're going to have to regroup a little bit here. Don't get far enough on the cap or anything like that. They got blocked off. This area where Saihate is standing there, Blank never sort of got past here. They got to the entrance and then they couldn't quite knock down the door.
Yeah, Kiki does get back into the mech though. EduUp has a pulse bomb. Anakin is about to get his, but EduUp, I mean, we know what he can land when he lands good ults. That could be the difference here. There it goes. Ooh, doesn't quite catch them, but he has
Wasn't a stick.
Yeah, has put the pressure onto Dodlov. Oh, Anakin is the one who answers back, but never mind all that. They've taken out Saihate. It doesn't matter what Dodlov can do up on this high ground now, because his team is getting absolutely taken out from underneath them. Yoshiharu is the one receiving this nano boost, but he's getting pressured out of the mech. Goes out to self-destruct just to try and buy some time for his team to respawn, but it doesn't matter. Now they take off the healers. Again, cut them off at the neck, break the thumb, and the whole hand hurts. Blank, get the cap.
Got there at the end, didn't win the initial fight, which is not the super cleanest play out of Blank, but you know, they get across the line. And it was a spectacular defense, an easy attack, and so far, a simple 2-0.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree to that. I wouldn't even say it looks a little bit messy or anything like that. I mean, just the first attack got repelled, the second one didn't. It's really that simple. This is going to be that triple pulse bomb.
Yeah, let's hope so, because it was a pretty big play. How did he manage to stick this one?
Oh, man. It's actually right after he watches Trill go down, he's like, I can do better.
Yeah, exactly. It's just Trill gets to be the sacrificial lamb while EduUp goes in, gets the stick inside the small room. And of course, when you're in that small enclosed area, nowhere to run, nowhere to get out of that.
I guarantee what would have happened there as well, the healers would have gone in there so that they could pick up that health pack and top each other off. Samurai D would have gone back there so that he could get topped off by the healers. And I don't know who exactly of those two healers got stuck, but they were suddenly all just standing around this pulse bomb. They got both healers, they got Samurai D as well. It was really brutal, man. That is the dream kind of pulse bomb.
And both traces actually got a pulse bomb, but one was just so much better. And Blank,
as it happens,
it kind of speaks volumes here. 2-0 still is the score, and you're right, they got the map pick next as well. So everything kind of working so far in Blank's favor in this matchup.
The tricky thing is, though, this is going to be Assault. This is where DeToNator did actually take their map off AHQ, and for a very long time, and arguably still up until quite recently, Blank have struggled on Assault. This is classically their weakest of the 4 game types. Like, I don't know if it's still weak, because that was probably the first problem they had to really work hard to fix, and I would have said they did fix it, even though they then started picking up 0-3 losses, but it's hard to say exactly where this one will go. There's evidence to suggest that both teams could take this one out, but based on specifically how we've seen them today, Blank would have to have an old weakness re-emerge for them to drop this one, I feel.
If it's ever going to happen, Assault is most likely where it will happen. So,
yeah,
you know, got to cross your fingers a little bit for Blank here because...
Got to cross your fingers, your toes, your legs, cross your neck, cross your ears.
And if you're DeToNator, you got to cross your fingers too, because this is where not only is it your best chance to take a map off Blank, but now if you want to keep the series alive, it has to be on this map.
You don't have any other opportunity. And like we said, evidence suggests it's possible. They have actually done it to AHQ. Maybe they can do it to Blank too. And I mean, the record would suggest they could, just purely because of where Blank stand with that top 3. They are currently the 3rd place of those.
An important win for them. It's slightly less important for DeToNator. It would be a good feeling for them, but DeToNator, in terms of points, doesn't really affect their standing. In terms of Blank's points, it absolutely affects their standing. It would be devastating for Blank to somehow drop this series.
It really would. Well, and I mean, series or no, it would actually be a little bit rough to drop Assault because, like I said, it would suggest that other old weakness has re-emerged or was maybe never as covered as maybe was suggested for a time there. So there is actually a lot more on this one, arguably, than on the first 2 for Blank.
Well, Blank are going to select their map pretty soon. We're going to find that one out when we return. Blank versus DeToNator.GOLD. We'll see you soon. Thank you for sticking with us in the Overwatch Pacific Championship English broadcast. We're about to head up map number 3, Blank Esports versus DeToNator.GOLD. Currently, Blank lead 2-0, and DeToNator.GOLD, this is their final chance.
Yeah, me too, thanks. It is looking good for them, though.
You too.
Yeah, thank you. It is.
Do
looking
you also
good for
trail 0-2 against Blank? Is that what it is?
I do. I'm not. I tend to lose when I play against Blank. Probably because of the numbers advantage they have on me. Yeah, 6 versus 1. It's rough. It's really rough. But not as rough as what DeToNator are kind of staring down the barrel of. I mean, this is already a team that struggles to pick up wins as it is. They have looked better recently. They probably won't ever really change the standings significantly because other teams have improved as well. But at least they're improving at pace with these other teams. They're not getting completely left behind in the dust. But Blank are looking back.
They're winning fights against Blank, though. I think that's the biggest takeaway from DeToNator is they're able to take away certain fights against Blank, and it's not like Blank are completely shutting them out. This isn't a repeat of Flash Wolves versus Hong Kong Attitude. And maybe that's kind of a concerning thing for Blank, because Blank, while they're coming back, maybe it should be a case of Flash Wolves versus Hong Kong Attitude in this match.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, actually, maybe, but there is still a bit of time for Blank to fix up those last few things before they really have to come up against, again, AHQ and Flash Wolves. So, like we said, this is the first time we've actually seen them since they've gone away, felt they've fixed most of their mistakes. And then after this, they go, okay, we executed on these things that we've been practicing, that we've been trying to shore up. Now let's see these extra little things that we need to polish here and there. And then, you know, naturally you come back stronger. Look, they've done the bulk of the work. They've done the 90%. There may still be a 10%, and that is what DeToNator are taking advantage of. But for the first time in a little while, I actually feel quite confident that Blank can shore up that 10%.
It actually says a lot about DeToNator in particular, which is quite a good sign for a team that is 3-17 in standings, the second to last team on the leaderboard, to be able to take fights away from Blank, to be able to even take a map off of control from them is, I would say, a pretty big deal for one of the Japanese teams, because both of them have had a pretty tough run through the series, and this is, although still looking pretty shaky in terms of the scoreline 0-2, it's good in the sense that this is not something they were doing before.
Yeah, I mean, it is and it isn't, right? Because the other thing we do have to acknowledge is DeToNator's recent upward trajectory. I mean, it's not too unsurprising that a team that has made big improvements since their first few matches of the tournament, even though they're not getting those other wins, is able to capitalize on windows that are provided them. Like, they would do the same against Matchy, they'd do the same against Hong Kong Attitude. They would take windows where they are provided to them. And like I said, that's the 10% here for Blank. And that's not a 10% that'll always exist.
Here we go, Blank, the home team, will be selecting Volskaya Industries.
Brave face. This is, if I'm not mistaken, where AHQ lost to DeToNator. Or am I misremembering that?
No, you're correct. You are absolutely correct. And this is a chance for Blank to say, look, where DeToNator lose, we will win.
Yeah, so where AHQ lose, rather. But yeah, exactly. And that actually, I mean, if we kind of want to contextualize this in what we saw earlier tonight, AHQ did actually lose themselves a map to Matchy, did not look all that convincing, and then lost to Hong Kong Attitude, who, by rights, we would consider to be a little bit weaker than Matchy right now. So if they can succeed against DeToNator where AHQ failed, I know that's a really odd kind of metric, but actually that would bode well for them in this top 3. It would suggest that they are actually the second best team, and then they would be able to confirm that come playing AHQ.
Because they do still need to come back against AHQ, because they're on a losing streak against them. The record against AHQ is 1-2 in AHQ's favor. So,
and both of those looked more and more convincing for AHQ.
Exactly. It was a 3-2 victory for AHQ and then a 3-0 victory for AHQ. So the first step for Blank on a path to redemption is to actually take their revenge against AHQ, then take that same revenge against Flash Wolves if they can get there. And if it does look like Flash Wolves go in as the #1 team in the playoffs, well, Blank have to get past AHQ naturally to even make the finals.
Yeah, they really do. So there is still a lot up in the air, I suppose is the thing to say, and a lot of it's not going to quite come down yet until that final round robin. But for now, Volskaya, Blank versus DeToNator, it's going to be a big finish, I feel.
It will be, and I know Blank have definitely practiced the Sombra defense as well. Gumba is going to be the one picking that up, so flex support, very true to nature as well. He's going to be, he picks up Ana, he picks up Zenyatta, he plays the Sombra as well if he has to. He even goes on to Mercy, and you know, if they want to run Mercy, Lucio, and RQT's playing Mercy, I've seen him play Lucio as well. It's a man of many different picks.
Yeah, like you said, flex support. And actually one of the interesting things, talked about this a little bit, it hasn't been super relevant today, but we have mentioned recently, you know, Lucio isn't super crucial, and we are seeing different double support setups, so actually having 2 flexible supports is very important, and RQT, I would say, is equally flexible.
Yeah, he has been. He's generally stuck on Lucio most of the way, but Lucio, like you said, and a good example is just, you know, basically watching the high-level games in professional scene right now, it's not as relevant as it was before. Teams are willing to experiment outside of playing Lucio.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Blank opt to defend first. We'll find out in just a moment.
I would expect that. I would expect
you know, if you can pick, you tend to want to go ahead and defend first, because if you can get a first hold, you can get it over fairly quickly. Basically, you can set the bar as low as possible for your own attack, and that's pretty ideal.
That's the important thing. You want to have a known quantity for what you will be attacking into. So if you defend up to a certain stage and then you attack again, knowing that's as far as the other attacking team managed to get, that's what you set up to try and get a win. So Blank, no surprises, will be the defending team first. Everyone's sticking exactly onto the same picks. The only player to flex out is Gumba.
Yeah, and I'm much liking AVRL and the Soldier over the Genji right now.
It's Gumbra.
Gunbeard.
Gumba playing Sombra.
Oh, right. I thought it was just like that thing that Lady Gaga wore, the gun bra.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
I do. That's a while ago.
Yeah, it was a really long time ago. Man, where is Lady Gaga? Is she okay? Has anyone heard from her lately?
I'm not too sure.
Well, in any case, first kill comes through for Blank. I mean, it's not, you know, resounding and crippling or anything, but it does just mean DeToNator kind of get paused up a bit and gives Gunba more time to charge up.
But DeToNator need to find a way to get out of this room. They have to break out. If they lose Dodolov, that would be pretty devastating to start things off with. DeToNator haven't even made it through to the high ground yet, which is the next step. They're finally there.
Finally. Yeah, they're kind of going around a different way to what we've usually seen these days, and even then, they're not actually looking very well positioned here. They just lost the mech for Yoshiharu, and now getting pressured out by Blank. Pixie goes up to the high ground, and they're constantly keeping topped off with all of these health packs being hacked. Yeah, EMP now available. They win this fight without it, which means now DeToNator, they couldn't pull it out when it was easier. Now they have to do it when it was harder.
Which is really tough for them because they had the opening. They had the opening to try and get a win while EMP was down. And Blank didn't even need to use EMP to win that last fight, just like you said. So, I mean, DeToNator now have to 100% play as the EMP, which before, maybe they lose the EMP on the first push and they make a timing attack where they can get in before Gumba gets it again, but it's just not going to be the case.
All they can really do is absorb this one and then hope the next one is crippling.
They absorb the pulse bomb.
Yeah, they absorb it with delayed space and then absorb the EMP with the rest of their bodies, and now they're getting, they're absorbing a lot of bullets with their flesh, and DeToNator getting completely forced back.
Really spongy team.
Yeah, Amagon on the total wrong side of that fight was really forced off to the side. Right there indeed. And this is actually a window now for DeToNator, unless this ultimate gets charged up super quick from Gunba, but honestly, wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
Well, we're already more than 50%, so Blank well on their way to getting another EMP, and DeToNator, the timing-wise, they've got to be able to get in very quickly. If they can get an attack now, just don't even bother setting up. I mean, you got to do some sort of circuit with the kind of line up they're running, but there's just no time to waste. They've got to go.
already getting really hurt as they try and swing around to get onto this high ground off the side. That is a kill indeed. They are still going to be fighting into an EMP in just a few moments here, and they've got a lot of zoning tools, even if they just need to buy time still to come back. DeToNator haven't actually pushed the go button just yet. Now ATAR opening up the tactical visor, already picked out Anakin. DPS just isn't there anymore, and they're already looking for ways to clean up. Didn't even need the EMP once again, which means, hey, even though there wasn't a window for this one, there now isn't going to be a window for the next one, which is actually the more important thing because it's only a minute left.
Yeah, and Blank being able to win without even using EMP every fight, it's like using EMP every second fight, but they're winning all the fights without EMP anyway, is a huge deal because we're under 1 minute now, and only, what, 2 EMPs have been used?
It's like,
EMP?
I can imagine Gunbr's just sitting there in comms like, all right guys, my ultimate is ready, and then he sees the kill feed come up and they just get like 3 or 4 kills, like, oh, all right then, I guess not.
Even better.
Yeah, why not? I mean, look, you'll take it, and this is really testing the strength of Blank. They don't rely on that EMP. Here's now Gunber getting into a great spot for it. Catches them all in the room. Well, DeToNator were busy setting up, kind of caught napping a little bit. They do try and rally. They've already lost Saihade though, which was a big source of their damage output and pick potential. Now taking out Anakin as well, means no real DPS available. DeToNator, they're really caught off to the side here, and they're still trying to either get out or regroup, but instead they're going to have to book it to the point now because the time is running out. Samurai D is already picked. They're really struggling to contest. There's 2 seconds remaining. Trill running with the ultimate there. Was he? Okay, no, I just went to third person. I thought he was even dancing for a moment, but that was a shutout.
Yep, corner trapping, delay right at the end there, making sure no one even touches the cap. Super important for Blank. And shutout is correct because we didn't even see the overtime. It was like not even an opportunity for DeToNator to get anything done. I said before, like DeToNator were at least winning fights. This time they're not even winning any fights in Volskaya.
No, they're really not. It's been looking better and better for Blank each consecutive game, and I still think there is this kind of 10% that they haven't quite polished up because you can't really properly polish that without going away and scrimming and practicing, but there is a definite return to form here. There's no shakiness, there's no will they, won't they. This is a Blank that's going to cap, possibly even on the first push, and just take home an easy 3-0.
Yeah, I'd like to see if they can be able to do that because if it's going to be King's Row again, well, I mean, on King's Row they had a bit of a hiccup, so if they can actually get that done on the first push on Volskaya against DeToNator again, it'll be an improvement in a very short amount of time to just sort of clean up those edges.
I wouldn't even call it a hiccup. They were just, you know, repelled by DeToNator, who did play the defense just well enough. But again, you know, in an ideal world, not even that happens to you. And once upon a time, Blank were not a team to whom that would happen. So the expectation surely is that they don't get rebuffed on those sorts of attacks. Now, if they still get rebuffed here, it's not the end of the world. Let's not go so far as to say that, but we can very much expect them to be able to do it.
The thing is, Blank, fortunately and kind of unfortunately, now set the standard, and they have to meet their own standard.
Yeah,
so where Blank were, where Blank are expected to still be, and even better than that. So that's kind of where Blank is sitting right now. They need to be able to meet their own standard again, and it's good that they were the ones setting the standard because at one time in this tournament they were the best team.
They were. It was all eyes on them, really. Blank was the team to crack, and it did take quite a while for anyone to really properly crack them.
And now, cracking through DeToNator will certainly be sending Blank on their way back in their position.
Look at this, so far no real contest out of DeToNator. They're just kind of seeding the ground to Blank. Yeah, that was super fast.
DeToNator should have done that.
That they should have, but again, Blank didn't let them. DeToNator have just kind of rolled out the red carpet here for Blank, who were already pressuring Anakin off to the side of this fight. He's not able to get into any kind of contesting position here. They do take out ATAR, and actually getting onto Kiki. Blank sort of split themselves up there for a moment, which was a little unfortunate. They've got a couple of kills through. Look, eat you up. If he gets a few more here, he might just want to kind of one-man army this. Looking to get, who even is this here, running for dear life? I think it may have been, it was Dodlov, yeah. I was thinking Dodlov, but I was like, oh, doesn't normally play Zenyatta, but yeah. So here we go. Blank have actually managed to keep the members alive here. Looked really scary for a moment, but Eat You Up just kind of put the team, I say this a lot, but he put the team on his back, and it looked like they were about to lose. Suddenly they won because, frankly, they're the better team.
Yep, the backpack from Eat Up was...
The backpack is back.
Very, very spacious. I want to compare backpack sizes. I just want to be able to put Bacon Jack and Eat Up on the side.
Yours is bigger than mine.
Go to Kathmandu and say, look, give me the best backpack here.
I just want the biggest backpack. Well,
that was quick. That was a quick series, and I kind of said already, but if Blank could come out looking super strong on this first attack, it would already be an improvement over King's Row, and it is.
Yeah. Here it is, actually. This was Play the Game for Eat You Up. This was, like I said, DeToNator did themselves no favors with how they set themselves up, and I don't know, they didn't really position to stop Blank either. And this is, you know, Blank doing exactly what DeToNator actually tried to do at one point. You'd think DeToNator should know how to counter that, surely, but they just kind of didn't. For a moment there, they rolled out the red carpet. By the time they tried to react, it was too late.
And Blank did exactly what DeToNator should have done. DeToNator, you see on their attack, they took so long, way too patient, way too respecting of Blank, allowed Blank to harass them, went up to the high ground and didn't really do anything with that either, and just eventually got bullied out of there. Now you see Blank's attack directly onto positioning, denying the biggest health pack on the right side of the map from the attacker's perspective. Then they start the fight. Yeah, they copped a couple of losses, but their trades were far, far better than DeToNator's. And I said at the start of the match, where when we look at Lijiang, DeToNator were playing in a way where they were super confident, a lot more confident than you'd expect against Blank, and that's what they needed to carry on through. That confidence no longer showed when we got to Volskaya.
Yeah, and the other thing there with Blank on the defense was they were stopping DeToNator from getting set up as well, because they were spotting the movement, and they were pouncing on it at the right time, so that they were catching, trying to basically get onto the healers, and that forces the tanks back. It just kind of muddies up how the team is setting up for their attack. The thing a lot of teams get wrong, though, when they do that, when they do what Blank was doing, was they overextend a little bit and they get picked off. And actually, that was one of the big things Blank was doing previously when they were making big mistakes. That's why Trill was dying a lot, because he was often the guy going in to do that and was doing it at the wrong time, was kind of overextending. They weren't quite executing on that properly, but that stopped happening. That has completely stopped happening, and that's why I say I feel Blank have fixed the majority of their mistakes, and that Volskaya was actually very direct evidence of it on the defense.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly how tight that ship is now as they sail on through for the rest of, I guess, the tournament as we lead into round robin number 4, and the real test will actually be against AHQ and Flash Falls, and also Machi Esports, who, you know, by the way, are the team really hot on their heels now. Still,
knocking.
It is Blank have sort of just widened up the gap a little bit, but Machi, I expect, are still looking to catch up there. Like I said, 4 maps is what Machi need to take over Blank. 4 maps in the sense that they need to win 4 maps where Blank do not. And so far, Machi have dropped one tonight. Blank have picked one up, which is why you can see the gap has widened just briefly.
And you can also just see from that as well, Blank still have 2 matches to go before the end of this round robin. One of those is against Machi Esports. It is Machi's final match of this round robin. It is Blank's penultimate, if I'm not mistaken. And, I mean, goes without saying, man, they want to secure that one as a win. That is probably the one out of all these other games. I mean, even the ones against Flash Falls and HQ, the Machi one is probably the one they can afford to lose the least, because that's the one that would really risk them losing their top 3 spot.
Player of the game, of the match, really eat up on the Tracer. Well-deserved triple kill with the Pulse Bomb. Completely took the game into his hands in Volskaya as well.
At the end,
the guy just really deserves it.
Both on attack and defense, actually.
Exactly.
Very consistent. And, you know, if he was shaking off the rust in Lijiang, like I said, he's now looking pretty shiny and chrome. I'm excited to see how he comes up against Shailin and Bacon Jack now.
Yep, straight to Valhalla.
But gonna die historic on the Fury Road. He is Australian, actually, so there you go.
Well,
maybe
it all works out, and everything sort of happens. Actually, it's interesting because in the Overwatch lore, like Fury Road,
yeah,
that's pretty much what Australia looks like.
It kind of is. Maybe they need that skin for Tracer just because of I Eat You Up.
Well, that would be
they need Warboy Tracer.
What, Warboy Tracer? They don't have Junker Diva, so there you go. That's something.
Yeah. So I mean, surely that's an opportunity for themselves.
It's a good start for Blank anyway. DeToNator.GOLD, expected result. At the start, we was kind of asking, look, is this going to be expected result or an upset? Yeah. We've now had an upset. That was Hong Kong Attitude against AHQ. Flash Falls still looking very dominant. Blank, this is the first we've seen of them in a decent while. So, I mean, first time back around, shaking off the rust, dropped the map against, dropped the stage of Lijiang against DeToNator.GOLD, but otherwise super squeaky clean. A little bit of a recap here of the evening. AHQ took out Machi Esports 3-1, only dropping 1 map in the process. Hong Kong Attitude upset AHQ 3-1 themselves. Flash Falls took control over Hong Kong Attitude and shook them down for 3-0 before Blank Esports coming back into the fray busting down the doors of DeToNator Gold in a 3-0 again.
Yeah, and I would say this has actually been a night of phenomenal matches all told, because this has really kind of sounded the gong on AHQ. They now have some big things to worry about, really big things to worry about. Flash Wolves, they have absolutely nothing to worry about, and that's been very significant in and of itself. And now Blank looking to be on the return. This has actually been a surprisingly defining night that I think is going to really spell out how a lot of this final round robin will go. We are seeing re-emergent Blank. We are seeing Flash Wolves, much like Blank once were, untouchable at the top. And we are seeing AHQ Esports Club actually kind of look like the shakiest of these top three. Do not let those standings fool you.
Yeah, it is kind of sad for AHQ, and it will kind of good for Blank in a way, because it really means Blank may just get the revenge against AHQ. And if anyone's looking to fix things before we head into the 4th round robin, I gotta say AHQ got a lot more to fix right now than probably any other team really breaking into top 3.
Yeah, Blank looked better and better in that series as well. Let's also acknowledge that, you know, if they dropped a map on Lijiang, like, they looked absolutely flawless on Volskaya. They really did. It was just good. It was just well played. It was the Blank we expect. And the thing is, even when they were going through their rough patch, they would still 3-0 teams like DeToNator Gold and Sun Sister and Fireball. Sure, that's still expected, but it didn't look as good as tonight did. It looked a lot shakier, even though the result was the same. So I think there is a lot of significance that can be drawn from that. And that's why I'm confident in saying Blank, they've obviously figured out a good chunk of what's gone wrong. Now the real test to be against AHQ.
I want to peer into the future just a little bit, because, by the way, this is the last weekend. Tomorrow evening will be the last evening of round robin number 3. And where it sort of ends is Hong Kong Attitude play Machi tomorrow, which is a fairly important game, because when Hong Kong Attitude beat AHQ, Machi did not. That kind of sets a bit of a tone for that matchup. And it's also Hong Kong Attitude's home day. So it's going to be an important day for them heading into that.
Yeah, and then also, like I mentioned, on top of that match, you will also play Blank tomorrow. So in a sense, it's an interesting day for Hong Kong Attitude, because you certainly do want them to pick up more wins after they picked up the one against AHQ. And I mean, unfortunately for Machi, that would mean they probably lose their spot at getting a shot at playoffs, but it's not the end of the world. Hong Kong Attitude, they want to make leaps and bounds in these closing weeks.
Oh, let's take a look at the winner's interview. It's going to be with I Eat You Up from Blank.
Hello everyone, I'm I Eat You Up from Blank Esports.
大家好，我是 Blank Esports 的教练。
好的，那我先来问我们的第一个问题喽。第一个问题就是，现在你们队伍里面有在使用汉影的角色，那在你心目中，在 OPC 职业联赛里面最值得学习汉影的选手是哪一位呢
？We've been running Sombra recently, and in your opinion, who's the best Sombra in OPC?
It's hard to say, I think, because playing Sombra revolves around the team as well. So, but I've never really thought about this. Thinking about it now, I guess maybe Flash Wolves one, because they have a really good team to back him up. Sinclair plays it, I think, yeah. And yeah, the team plays really well with him.
他是说他没有实际上考虑过说谁的汉影最厉害。我们接触汉影是最近才开始接触。他是认为说，汉影的话比较注重的是跟团队的配合。然后他觉得，因为现在闪电狼的总体实力非常强，所以他觉得那个闪电狼的汉影的话值得学习。
好，那我来问第二个问题喽。第二个问题是，就是我们知道你一直在使用闪光作为队伍的重担，那有什么其他的角色是你私底下很喜欢的呢
？In all matches, you've basically been just maining Tracer every game. Personally, though, what other hero do you like apart from Tracer?
I like a lot of heroes. One of my personal favorites, I guess, is Widowmaker, because she has like a high skill cap, and you can always get better at her.
他私底下最喜欢的英雄的话是夺命女，他认为说夺命女她的那个实力要求最高，然后如果那个就是厉害的选手跟差的选手之间的差别就很大，就是你永远都可以再变成更厉害的夺命女。
好，谢谢。那我们第三个问题呢，有点小尴尬。好，第三个问题是在打地图漓江天塔的时候，然后屡次跟 DTN 的闪光对枪，那你打得很久很亲热，那你当时的想法是什么呢
？Is it saying on the first one, Lijiang Tower, you were engaged in a really heated battle with Tracer, and it seemed like you were really into it at times, like just chasing her around. What were your thoughts fighting her?
I guess not really any special thoughts. I'm just playing my game and hope I kill her. And I don't know why it went so long. I probably should have killed her a lot of times, but I just didn't play so well, I guess, at the start.
他是说他就很专注于就是要抓那只闪光，就一直抓，但是他一直跑，所以他错失很多可以抓到闪光的机会。他第一场的表现不是非常好，他对他的表现不太满意，但是就是看到那只闪光已经开始打，就想继续打下去。
好，那我们这边我们掌声谢谢 Blank 的 IE Drop 跟我们的教练节翻译，掌声。谢谢。好的，那再次恭喜 Blank 赢得了这场比赛。
Eat up from Blank. Maybe we'll get a couch interview from them as well. We'll have to sort of find that one out. But again, sets the precedent for them moving forward into round robin number 4. That's kind of it.
It's got to be a good feeling for them as well. I mean, to pick up a win that looked that good, like, I don't want to say it too much, but yeah, sure, it's against DeToNator, but that was a great win for Blank. It really was.
All right, we're going to have a few words from Team DeToNator, who unfortunately copped the loss. There's going to be Dodolov Yoshiharu and their manager as well. Do this one in English translation.
是副讲，目前是我们这边的这个可以帮助我、协助我做翻译的，对这一件事情。因为我本身日文是只会一点点，对，但是会的都不是适合说出来的那一种，对，所以还是用中文的方式跟一些成员做沟通。对，因为呢，现在是目前看到是3颗粽子在这边，因为这是我们台湾的节庆吧，就是端午节。那不知道这边有没有吃过我们的这个粽子呢？
So have you ever had? So it's the Taiwan Dragon Boat Festival. Have you ever had the specific the treat here, which is the sticky rice here?
このちまきを食べるのは台湾の風習で、食べたことありますか？
ないです。自分あります。
どこで食べたのですか？
なんかそこら辺の道路で売ってるのをこれくださいって言って買いました。
多田洛夫他个人是没有吃过肉粽，然后Yoshiharu他就是会自己去逛台湾的，就是街道这样子，然后他就
sort of go around
所以是还是有尝
Taipei
过我们这边
and
的
he has
这个
tried
道地的一
quite a
些
bit of
食
the
物这样
Taiwanese food.
对，那就好，因为我们今天的这一个节庆哦，其实对于我们的意义是非凡的啦。对，但是其实现在呢，对我来说就只是要负责吃肉粽而已，对，在家里的部分。对，那这次呢也是希望可以带几个肉粽，可以让我们的这个日本队的成员哦，就是你们毕竟已经是到来台湾这一边，对，来比赛，那其实也非常的辛苦，那也是有几个粽子希望可以带回去给选手对吃，然后呢感受一下我们台湾的气氛。对，那我们一样是回归到游戏的内容。对，目前 DTN 其实有为我们展现出非常多的策略，对，非常多的策略。但是我们可以看得到，就是这些策略在执行上面，好像不如想象中的来的这么的完整。就是跟他们的剧本可能感觉不太一样。那不知道这边DTN他们有想要做一个什么样的修正吗？
今ちまきの話なんですけど、もしよかったら持ち帰って台湾の風習を楽しんでください。それと今からゲーム内のことについてお話ししたいんですが、そのチームはいろいろな作戦を大会でやろうとしていて、だけどなんか実際にやるとなんかミス重ねていくと見られちゃうんですね。はい、でそこら辺はどういうふうに改善していこうと思ってますか？
もう自分たちのその日々の練習でやっぱりそれをミスをなくしていくっていうのを課題にやっていくしかないと思ってるんで、その大会中のミスをできるだけ減らせるっていうのが今後の本当に課題なんで、それを意識して今後本当に練習を取り込んで強い相手にでもそのミスをなくすっていう課題を取り組んでいきたいと思います。
そうですね、こちらのやりたいことをやる前に相手にやりたいことをやられて何もできなくなってるっていう状況が多くて、そういうのはミスに見えると思うんで、そういうのを改善するためにはやはり何度もスクリームを重ねて連動を上げていくしかないと思うので、ただこのゲームはメタの移り変わりが早く、それにこっちとしてもついていこうとしているんですけど、なかなかついていけないような状態で、今のような感じになっているといった感じですかね。
因为我们就是 教练有提出很多的作战，然后让他们
So
去
their
做练
coach
习。那目
really
前
points
就是
out a lot for them to
DeToNator
practice.
选手觉得说，就是他们会在比赛中，然后尝试很多的方法去修正他们的那一些失误。那有其他的选手是觉得说，我们现在目前可能大家会看到我们非常就是可能不是那么的
So
杰出，
Yoshihara says right
但
now
是
people
我
view
们
us as not very
在
strong.
一次一次的练习中，其实他们是有在进步的。那
So with
这
all
样
the
的进
scrims and
步
all the
空间，
practice
其
time,
实
they
对
have
于
been
一个
improving.
斗争特工整个 meta 它的变化是那么的大，而且那么的快速，然后
There has
他
been a
们是
change in the
很
meta.
想要去追上那一些 meta 的，但目前他们的脚步可能会比别人还要再慢一些，所以
They just-
这部分是他们必
They
须检
haven't
讨
caught
的
up
地
to the
方。
meta
其
as
实我
quickly as other
们
teams.
第天对于我们台湾的斗争特工的玩家来说，是一个比较熟悉的一支队伍，对，也是我们最早接触到的一支。
So DeToNator was one of the first
对，
teams
从
sort
最
of
早期我们台湾到现在，
Taiwan
所以
has sort
我
of
们大家
known
其
and
实
played
很多
against.
台湾的玩家对于第一天这支队伍是给予很高的期待。对，当每一次第一天拿出新的一些套路的时候呢，我们总是会期待说他们接下来会有一个什么样的展现。对，例如就是我们的艾希瓦德出小美这样子的一个套路，之前都有出现过，所以我们也是非常期待接下来第一天的一个。
Whenever we see DeToNator, we sort of see something new coming out of them, and we also are wondering what DeToNator are going to bring to the
今
table
ま
that's
での
quite
試
new.
合でいろんなメタ、いろんなやり方を見せてきてくれたデトネータは台湾でよく知られているチームで、みんな初めてこんなに整えてるプロチームをしたのもデトネータなので、みんなすごく期待していて、で、そのこれからの成長を楽しみにしてます。頑張ってください。
谢谢，谢谢。
是的，这边呢也是谢谢第一天接受我们的访问。对，那就是也希望说这一次端午节可以感受一下我们的气氛，因为还有大概是2天的时间，接下来就
So we'd like
接下来
all the Japanese members to enjoy our Dragon Boat Festival
这边吃个粽子
over the next 2 days
这边
and
是谢谢副讲还有
enjoy some of the food here. Thank you for
对
translating.
这边是谢谢大家。那我们这边的访问呢，在这边先告一个段落了，我们
Thank
下一
you
次
for
再
being
见。
here for the interview.
拜拜。
All right, cool. Well, that's Team DeToNator all done and dusted for day 3 on week number 8, as we're getting ready to finish up the 3rd round robin.
What a roller coaster tonight has been, honestly. Look, maybe tomorrow is going to be crazy, maybe it's not, maybe it's going to be expected, but the games that are coming up tomorrow would suggest that they are going to be pretty intense. It is going to be a day to really tune in for and watch out for.
Absolutely, 2 big ones there. You got Machi versus Blank, which is pretty important. And sorry, it's not actually going to be Honko Attitude versus Machi. You got that wrong, but at least Machi is going to show themselves. Anyway, that is what we got to look forward to tomorrow. It is also Honko Attitude's home day, so make sure you tune in at the exact same time. I've been Kevin AVRL. Walker. With me all night has been Matt, Pixie, Carol. And this is the Overwatch Pacific Championship English broadcast. We'll see you tomorrow evening.